everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
And thanks for joining us again. And tonight we're going to be talking about Freddie Mercury.
The one and only Freddie Mercury.
So we'll talk about that in a minute, but just as an intro, we'll be saying hello to people when you come on. But yeah, Freddie Mercury we're going to talk about. And then later on, we're going to talk about all sorts of things. We'll open it up to any questions you want about any topic you like. So we can talk about that later. Hi, Nana. See you here again.
Yes, Nana. Good old Nana. Adrian from Texas.
We've had quite a few people from Texas.
That agility bits again. From Cornwall. Paul from Essex.
Hiya, guys.
Boy.
Yeah, so we're going to be, like I say, we're talking about, obviously, we're just waiting for everybody to come online here.
Oh, that's nice. And Shane to James.
Oh, yeah,
Craig
Millie. I'd like to talk to you later, Millie. I'd like to learn a little bit more about Vedic astrology, if you do any lessons. Millie's very good from Vedic astrology. Natlo, woohoo. Oh, yes. You must be pleased.
Patrice from Germany.
Oh, yes. Patricia from Schultz. Yes, we've seen you here before.
Lisa from Milton Keynes.
Yeah. So nice to see a lot of regulars coming in again. From Sweden, Kolasami.
Colosso. Frank.
Hi
Paul.
again. Yeah.
Leah.
Of course, you can join us through Facebook or through YouTube. Most people see us through YouTube, actually, but you know, come to both. You know, you can follow different content. Actually,
Carolina.
From Carolina, yeah.
North
Carolina, yeah. California. Blimey, we must have people awake all over the world because California is different, way out time zone. You must be, yeah, you're ahead of us, aren't you? Cornwall, yeah, that seems a bit more closer to home. I notice all the Facebook ones are from the UK.
Long Island, New York.
And just if you're just joining us now, if you're coming in, we're going to be doing Freddie Mercury tonight. We're going to be talking about some ideas and thoughts surrounding Freddie Mercury and his spiritual side. Lisa here from Florida.
Hi, Lisa. Teresa from Green Bay.
Where's that? W1, London W1, I suppose. That is it?
Joanne.
It's from the Wirral.
I think it's Wyoming.
Oh, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've got Domenico in the background. We told him he can interrupt us if Jane speaks too much ever.
God, bang.
So you hear my voice quite often.
Yeah. Ava. It's Ava. Say hello, Craig.
Hi, Ava. Hiya, folks.
Hiya.
Nice for joining. Don't forget to get some questions in your mind for later on too.
Mama
you might have some questions about
do you say that, Mama San?
Mama San, yeah, from California. We've got a lot of people following us from the States. I suppose
Japan. We've got Japan
and
now.
Japan too. Yeah. I've got clients that call me from Japan too. I must watch my microphones. Yeah, Denmark. Yep, Denmark. A few fans from Denmark. I remember.
Janice from Long Island.
And if you're just coming in, we're talking about
Dennis.
Freddie Mercury this evening.
Yes.
When we said hello to everybody and just allowed everyone to come in first. Christianson from Austin, Texas. Hi there.
She actually caught us.
A lot from America. A lot from. It must be
Angel
funny
Love,
time
hello
and
from
night
Italy.
there.
Our favourite place, Italy.
Oh yeah, Italy. We got an Italian producer in the background.
We've got an Italian.
You can shout at you in
son-in-law.
Italian if you like. Yeah.
Blemischio, Craig. Jan.
Loving the mantras, are you? Oh yeah. Well, you've obviously been watching some of the.
It's mantra.
Oh, in mantra. We got to get our Vedic right. A lot of Indian people join us, and they correct me a lot. Mantra. There's no sound in Vedic. Indigo Night. Yeah, I'm glad you like those mantras. They're in the video. They're in the meditation
Indigo from
ones.
Gosport, just up the road.
Okay, Indigo Night. Oh, dark.
Andrea.
Kansas City.
Wasn't that Wizard of Oz?
Yeah. Just click your heels. You got your red shoes on.
I've got my red coat. Kathy.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Same time zone as us. So you're the same time of night there, of course. Longitude line.
Steiner Anderson, hello from Norway.
All right, yes. That's a very Norwegian
Skull,
name.
we have to
Anderson
say in
and
Norway,
Steiner.
it's Skull.
We did learn a bit of Norwegian, didn't we? From
Nat
Nat
stayed
Lau.
up till 5 a.m. for this in Australia. Oh, God bless
5
you.
a.m.
Gosh.
God, you're good.
I like a man that stays up late for me.
11 a.m. in California. Yeah, so that's good. What time is it? I've lost track of the time here. At 7 o'clock we start, don't we?
You're still in the twilight zone, aren't you, Craig? Hunting from California.
And if you're just coming
Laura.
in now, because obviously people are just joining us, we're going to be talking about
Sue.
Freddie Mercury tonight. That's our theme this evening.
And shall I explain a bit about Freddie Mercury?
Well, when we get started, yeah, you can take the lead on it actually when we start. But we're just saying hello to everyone
Okay.
still. So hi Sue,
Hi, Sue.
Emsworth. Yes, they're all joining us. So many people around the world now.
Are you going to read that name?
Oh, this is from the chat. It's Yoko Hayam.
That's all.
Thank you for joining us anyway. Pennsylvania.
That's nice.
I went to Philadelphia. I like Philadelphia is a nice city
Hello
actually.
from St Albans, Herefordshire. Just
I
around
have the
where
bell
you
there, don't they? Jay Sai Ram. So we've obviously got a Sai Baba devotee there. Marty from Ireland. Oh, to be sure, she's from Ireland. Yes, some of my roots come from Ireland, of course. Hi from Munich, Germany. Guten Abend.
Good morning.
No,
Good
Guten Abend. It's
morning.
night there, I think.
Carol from Perth, Australia. Hi, Carol.
So again, 2 a.m. in the morning.
Gosh.
2 a.m. We're not worth it. We're not worth 2 a.m., are we? Yeah.
Dorian, greetings from San Antonio,
Texas, USA. So we got the whole world here
Sue,
today.
hello from Essex.
Of course, they're not interested in us, Jane. They're interested in Freddie Mercury. They thought Freddie Mercury was going to be on.
He is.
And
A
11:30
banshee.
p.m. in India. Okay. God. So we've got Australia, India,
All around the
Texas. We've
world.
gone the whole way around the world. Anyone here from Hawaii?
There's somebody from Sweden.
Swindon.
Oh, Sweden.
That's just down the road.
Oh, right.
So thanks everyone for joining us. Okay, so Jane wanted to pick the theme tonight, didn't you? Really?
Yeah. Well, I explain a bit. 2 nights ago, I was quite tired and I went to bed, and I heard a very distinct voice, and I heard this clairaudiently and I felt Freddie Mercury come to me, and he was saying to me, I've waited a while to communicate with you, and I want you to know my ashes aren't where Mary put them, but I'll tell you where they are, but you're not to tell anybody until we speak to Mary to prove that I'm in the afterlife and communicating with her. And he was explaining his spiritual side, though one might not thought he was very spiritual, and the religion that he followed. I can't say it, Craig.
Zoroastrian, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's
Zoroastrianism.
That's like a Persian and Indian religion, and their belief is that they get rid of all their personal possessions and burn the possessions and everything, Craig.
Yeah, when they die.
Yes, when they die. A bit like the Romanis.
The Chinese do a lot of that.
Yeah,
Like, sort of thing.
Non-attachment to things. And and he looked quite young, and I'm aware that his birthday was September the 5th. So if he lived today, well, he's a Virgo, if he lived today, he'd have been 74 if he lived today.
Yeah. So you had that dream when?
Well, it wasn't a dream. I actually heard his voice, and that was about 3 nights ago. I told you.
Okay. So the thing, that's good. I'm sure you have. But
well, I know I have.
Yeah, I know. But I say what you're giving the proof in here is the ashes.
Yes.
So if this is Freddie Mercury, and we're going to prove it's Freddie Mercury, someone who knows Freddie Mercury would know about the ashes.
Fan. Yeah, because
not a fan. No, it would be someone who would know him personally.
In the graveyard where they've got a monument of him, of the obelisk. It's a
obelisk. Have they got an obelisk?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is not where his ashes are.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and he told me exactly where they were, but it's only to be revealed
if
to Mary.
That person
comes. Mary Austin.
Oh, okay. So that's if Mary Austin is watching this tonight.
If she's watching or whatever, but if it's meant to be, it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. So actually, that's kind of how we're proving it. Because the thing is, you see a lot of psychics. I've seen other videos out there where people sort of say, I'm in touch with Freddie Mercury, and they just give messages from Freddie Mercury as if he's just sat there with them. But you can't do it that way. we have to give a bit of proof. So this is what you're giving them,
Yeah, and
Jane,
he
isn't
said
it?
he was very fond of opera and very fond of ballet, believe it or not, because he's quite a creative person. And also, I think he
Well, he liked
studied
opera, of course.
and
Was
he studied.
that was the basis of a lot of his
He
music.
studied graphics art, so that's why he used to design the covers on his LPs.
So that's the conundrum we're putting out there. Then you're
Right,
saying that his ashes are buried somewhere different, and
Yes.
Mary would know that, and
Yes.
Jane knows where those ashes are.
I do.
No, there's nothing in the press about that ever.
No,
No speculation
because
ever.
Mary made very much and swore to secrecy because that's what he wanted, and to prove to her that he's connecting with her in the afterlife.
Okay, so you saying that that is her little bit of special proof, and
Yes.
she's never spoken about that in the press ever.
No, because it's
There's
a
nothing
secret.
so
It's
that's
a
why.
secret. There's a graveyard that people think where his ashes are. There's a monument there.
And you're
but they're
saying his
not.
ashes aren't there, his ashes are somewhere else.
His mother's now passed in spirit, he told me, and his father's in spirit. And very much he's with a friend, very much a great friend. And guess who that friend is?
His friend, I don't know.
David Bowie.
Oh, right, I suppose so. Yeah. One of his best friends was Elton John, wasn't he, actually?
Yeah, but he's still living.
Yeah, I know. But he's halfway there.
You be careful what you say. Otherwise,
sued.
you'll be blown candle in the wind.
Yeah. So that's the difference, what we're saying. There has to be a proof. Now, hopefully, that bit of proof will get picked up.
Yeah.
And if that bit of proof gets picked up, this video is a record of that bit of proof. Okay. So other than that, we can't
Say the date, what the date is today.
I don't know. I've lost track.
Of October?
Yeah, it's the 16th of October. Yeah, nearly your birthday on Monday.
Well, never mind.
But we won't mention anything about that because it involves dates and
Do you want to live to see another year?
So you see, like I say, you can't just sort of like when they came to us to ask us to do that Spirit of Diana seances. Some psychics would just sort of say, I've got Diana here and she says this, she says that, she says that, but no proof because nobody can pick up the message to say it's right or wrong.
It's got to be actual people they know.
It has to be someone emotionally linked
and give
both directions.
And give proof that only that person would know the truth, not something you read in the media.
Well, we've often had, I mean, you've had it before. I mentioned it before, the woman that came through the door and you said to her brasso or something, wasn't it? Yeah. And that was the key word between her and her dead mother in the spirit world. Yeah. And I said to somebody once, blue teddy bear out the blue. And that was another one. That was the key word. And then there was also about, all sorts of odd little things that people say to prove it's me.
Yeah.
I will say this, and that has often been the absolute proof for somebody when that happens.
Absolutely.
It? So hopefully that's a message there for going out, and that's why you wanted to do Freddie Mercury today, I suppose.
Well, I did, and his songs very much. When you look at his life, he was a lonely person, really. Though he had friends around him, they were friends. What do you call them? It's an old saying: fair-weathered friends.
Oh, you know,
when you've got money in that, you've always got.
Well, I thought he was. I mean, there's been the TV, not TV, but there's been the movie
film,
made about him, which was I think was pretty brilliant. But actually, when I was looking at that, and they kind of they played on this idea about the difficulty he had with his parents, didn't they? Because he was they were quite street onto Zoroastrian.
Why don't you just say Zorro?
I want to say Zarathustra, but it's Zoria. I practiced it today too.
It's like an Indian Persian.
Yeah. It was an ancient religion from Persia, isn't it? And it moved into India because they got persecuted. But the religion is extremely anti-gay in its teachings.
And they would see that religion, that a person wouldn't go to heaven if they were gay.
No, because they said that the gay people the gay thing was brought by an evil demon, right? So from his point of view, look at the position he was in. He came out in the world as being gay, and yet his parents dare not admit that he was gay because otherwise they would be ostracized by their own religious group.
The parents, he had a religious funeral, and there's only a few people there.
Yeah.
From those.
Well, when it comes to his burial too, it would make me. I would think that would be
they
quite.
have to be cremated. Craig.
I know, but his cremation. I mean, it would be quite interesting because his ashes, maybe they weren't allowed to be put into that plot because of the religious conflict. That's just the thought that goes through mind with what you're saying
no,
there.
the grave, what they've got in the graveyards is an ordinary cemetery.
Yeah, because
But
it's a
what he
Parsi
showed
religion,
me,
isn't it?
what
It's
he
Parsi,
showed
as they're
me,
called.
it makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense to me, actually. I
And
think there's
he
an
was
interesting...
showing me, there must have been some cats that passed with him, because he was showing me cats.
That's really interesting. Because others have found there was Brian May was in the group with him, wasn't he? Brian
Yes,
May. I believe he was. He talked about feeling that Freddie was still around him from the afterlife. I think he talked about it once. He was pressed on the news some time ago about whether he felt Freddie Mercury around, and he believes in the connection. So maybe
Yes, and don't
Brian
forget
May
he does looks at stars, astrology, and everything.
Yeah.
Brian May.
Yeah, so maybe he's interested in it as well. Maybe that's where Freddie could get through to somebody like that.
Yes.
See, you can't just bring someone through like Freddie Mercury to a fan, like you saw on Most Haunted once, and they brought Michael Jackson through holding his hat. You know, I mean, nonsense.
That's psychometry.
You can't do that.
It's got to be,
you need to have the connection with the people.
The connection and little things or even big things might mean something to that person.
Yeah. So he would have had a pretty hard life, that Freddie Mercury. I mean, all his people around him would have treated him in the religious order, because it's a very small religion.
Yes.
There's just a few people in America with it still, and another cluster in sort of, I think, in India, and they've been persecuted by Islam throughout history. So he had it from all directions, really. You imagine it must have been ever so difficult for him. I was talking to a friend on the Patreon site about how people are still massively persecuted in the Middle East for being gay. I mean, people have no idea the level of persecution. He was telling me about some of the things that go on. They're too horrific to describe, and it's a great sadness that, you know, that's still the case.
But Freddie Mercury trusts Mary Austin because she was the love of his life, and through his emotions. But she wanted a baby by him, but he wouldn't give her a baby. She married twice she married once, and then she had another husband. She got 2 children, but he wouldn't give her a baby because he knew it wouldn't be fair because he was gay. But it didn't mean he didn't love her. He loved her on a very high level. Yeah.
I never used to like his music in the beginning until I saw the movie. Actually, I thought when I start to understand the man, which that movie I think gave, I can't remember what was the title. Do you remember the title?
I can't remember the title.
But it's worth having a look out for. It's came out recently, didn't it? We went to see it, and it kind of revealed the person behind the image, you know. And
well, actually, he came from
it must have been ever so hard, the conflict that he had.
Actually, I think he went to boarding school, and it's quite private, a private boarding school, and he threw himself into his music. That's how he learned to play the piano.
Yeah. So that was an unusual religion. I made a few notes about the religion.
And also about his teeth as well, because people said, oh, you should have your teeth altered, but he didn't, because he could hit high notes where he's had his teeth protrude a bit. And I think that made him really.
Yeah, so that religion, he wasn't, actually, people say he was a Zoroastrian.
Say Zorro.
Zoroastrian, okay. But he wasn't, actually. It was his parents that were
that's it.
He didn't profess that religion, but he obviously had to keep
But he was a man, an artist, wasn't he? Because he was very sensitive, and he threw himself into his music, and that's all he wanted to be, was a singer, and his music. That was his love.
Yeah, because he would have had major conflicts in his thoughts, really, because there he was, one of the first really big names to come out and come out of the closet, wouldn't he? Really, with his gayness, he became overtly gay with his music and everything, and yet in the background there was all that problem that it could destroy. Domenico, thank you. He's been.
Say it again, Craig.
If these idiots on screen can't pronounce it, you can have a try yourself, okay? Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism.
Yeah.
Zoroastrian.
It's sort of like a secret sect.
Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, right.
You can look it up actually on. I tried an audio file how to pronounce Zoroastrianism, and there's pressed it, said it a few times, and I
yeah,
still can't say it.
But don't forget,
Especially on camera.
he had a relationship with a woman for about a good 5 years, and this was before he was famous. And he met her in a dress shop, and he took about 5 months to build up courage to ask Mary out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I believe that she, like in the film, she put all his eyeliner and everything, and I believe he really loved her.
Oh, yeah, the movie went into that too, and followed that story through, didn't it? As well, which I thought was quite interesting.
But that was a deep, deep love for a gay man to love a woman on that level. That's quite extraordinary.
Of course, the story of his life is something. We have someone who is the second host. Thank you for joining. I don't mean. I hopefully with me mucking around talking about the pronunciation, I don't mean any offence to the religion, because obviously it's a very old religion, actually. In fact, Satya Sai Baba put Zoroastrianism, as one of the major religions of the world. He always suggests, he make the little mandala with the little mandala that has the Jewish candle and it has a Christian cross and it has symbol for Hinduism, the wheel I think he used, and Buddhism, but he also included Zoroastrianism as one of the pure religions of the world.
Yeah.
It's I suppose it's been there since, I think, God knows how. It's a very old religion, actually, and a highly persecuted religion. So I'd like to look it up a bit more, actually, and learn a bit more about
after
it.
this session.
Yeah, I think I deserve. I think I owe it. I owe it to them.
Lessons.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yes. Do you believe in
Yes, Dorian. Did Freddie ever want? Well, he was. What do you call it, Craig? When at a christening? He was a godfather to one of Mary's children, and that because he did have the love of children and the love of animals. But it was Mary that wanted children, and he didn't think it was fair. But he did have a love of children and animals.
Yeah, he was. He loved cats as well.
Well, yeah, cats. Yeah. Because when you think of cats and that, he trusted. He was a sensitive soul.
Yeah.
And that, so he loved cats. He had about 5 or 6 cats, I believe.
Did he?
Yeah, and lived with him, and. He was quite lonely. That's why he was quite over the top with parties and that, because he liked to. Obviously, he was a man that didn't want to live on his own.
And then, of course, the tragedy of his death with AIDS, really.
Well, it was tragedy.
I mean, that again was one of the first big name deaths.
But then he didn't want people to know, did he? He wanted it kept secret.
Yeah. So he was quite a trailblazer. And really his music too, to take on this operatic idea in music, to take big opera and turn it into pop rock music.
And then he sung with an opera singer in Barcelona. Do you remember that song, Barcelona?
Yeah, that was because of his son, was it? Yeah,
a song with an operatic.
You said a song. You said his son.
No, you're not listening to me, Craig. Sorry. As usual, selective hearing. No, he's quite an artist, really. There he is, trying to get through.
Trying to get through now. Step 1, when you do a filming, make sure all the phones are turned off. And now you're going to have some message coming through from somebody demanding money, I expect. So what else do you know about Freddie Mercury then? Any other thoughts? I was looking up
Well, he left all his money to Mary Austin and also royalties, and also to his sister. He had a sister as well. He was very close to his mother, and he did love his father, though his father was quite hard on him. He did love his father a lot. Yeah.
I was looking up about the Zoroastrians. I think I've got it right now. You make the O silent. Zoroastrians. They have believe in this sort of conflict between good and evil, like a giant battle between good and evil all the time. There were 1200 BC, they reckon that religion was around. So it's quite an old one. And their god is like, they were the first religion. I remember reading about this before. They were really one of the first major religions to believe in the idea of one god. At a time when people didn't believe in the idea of one God much.
That's a true religion.
So it's a good religion in that respect.
Now, Patrice has asked me, does Freddie play gigs in the afterlife? No, I don't feel he plays music in the afterlife. When I saw him, he had cats with him. I believe he's helping others, possibly helping others that have gone over the same illness that he had.
We quite often say that when people go to the afterlife, there's been lots of speculation about what life is like in the afterlife. And in my book, What to Do When You're Dead, I looked into those things. And many of the traditional ideas believe that people do kind of continue in the same way we do in this world.
Yeah, but he's not playing a gig. She's saying, is he playing a gig in the afterlife?
It'd be interesting to think. But I would imagine in the afterlife, music would be very different because, the world in the afterlife is like this world, but not like this world. So your creativity is created by mind alone, and the world is created by. So you could create music by sheer thought.
Yeah.
Because the nature of it, as far as I've been able to understand,
he smoked and he used to drink a lot and other things.
Well, he lived a very earthly, sensual life, didn't he? He was a hedonist, really.
Yeah.
Which was probably, again, I would have thought would have been quite a shock to his parents and all his parents' friends and families and things.
Well, I suppose really, if he wasn't held back, but he was a creative person, and a lonely person, because if you come into lots of money and money doesn't mean anything, you're going to have hanger-oners and people that use you, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's why he trusted Mary, because she loved him before he made fame and that. So it's a big difference.
Yeah. So it would be very interesting. I mean, what we'd love to do, of course, is do a full communication with him like we did for Diana. But the way you do that is you have to have somebody with you.
If it was his sister, if it was Mary, or if it was.
So if there was anybody in the band or anybody closely connected with him who wanted to do a connection here on YouTube, we could do it. You'd have to come and visit us, and we could do the reading live.
Yes.
So there's no cutting and editing and saying, this isn't true, because because the way they do it, they film it all, and as soon as the person gives a yes, they leave that in, and they cut out all the no's. They edit it, and it looks good, but it's actually the reality of it is totally different. So I think when you do these type of things, if you want to connect with someone in the spirit that's famous, you have to have someone that knew them, don't you? Absolutely knew them. And you also need, I think, to do it live, so there's no cheating through the editing, and then you can see the response, and that way I think you get far more proof.
Does he have a message for us in the current times? He didn't really give a message about current times. He kept flicking me like that. I don't feel they would give us a message about the virus or anything, do you?
The spirit world fights in a way that I don't think they're allowed to interfere with this world.
No, they're not.
That's kind of why I think it is in a way, because when I get predictions and things, and that must be the same for you, I get that through a different means than I do through mediumship in some ways. Most of it, although I can sense the spirit world around me, most of it comes from my own clairvoyance, my own kind of linking into the idea of past, present, and future.
I think this virus, to be honest, is going to be with us around quite a few years. Something we're all going to have to live with.
We're never going to get rid of it in some ways, because it's going to be in the animals are catching it now.
Yeah, but what's new? Because we've had SARS, we've had different flus, there's been plagues and everything. Well,
our whole body is made up of viruses and bacteria that have adapted, really. Yeah. And I think that's what happens with these. When something new is released into the world like that, it can't adapt, so it kills its host. The last thing it wants to do is kill its host. It wants to sit comfortably inside us and stay there without killing us.
Well, basically, it's certainly comfortable with you.
Yeah. So that's why. So, but I think my feeling about the virus, because people are obviously asking about that now, but my feeling about it is we'll be out of the woods by spring.
I thought May as well, and there will be a cure for it.
Because the Nadi said May, but June, didn't it? The Nadi said June, but we were thinking June last year.
May,
but it must be June this year.
Don't forget, in the spirit world, they're much more advanced. Time goes very quickly here. Time's nothing on the other side.
But we will get through it eventually, and the economy is going to be, God knows what's going to happen with the financial fallout from this, because I mean, a lot of great seers, Yogananda and a lot of teachers have said that there would be a great world financial
Yeah,
crash
but the
at
world
some
has
time.
got to change, hasn't it? Because
So I don't think we're quite on the edge of that yet, but I think we're going to get some pretty serious.
It's not a recession we worry
problems.
about. It's a depression when it really goes.
Yeah, well, you know, the world's had a bigger hit than ever before.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
We can't answer those sort of questions because he's not with us in that respect now. You know, and that's what I say. We would need someone with a. But I think Jane wanted to share the ideas with you to begin with on this, about the idea of that you'd had what you felt was a.
Well,
connection.
I know it was true because I know it's true. I heard his voice,
and now we just got to prove it, and
Yeah.
that's so we're putting it out there so we can prove it, basically.
Because first of all, I thought, am I in a lucid dream state or that? But it was actually his voice I heard, and I kept getting pling, 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 like that.
Sure, that wasn't me.
No, you weren't there.
You're snoring,
Pling, pling.
snoring, Jay.
No, you weren't there. You weren't there. You were downstairs watching telly too
Oh,
late.
right, okay, yeah. So that's an interesting question. Well, Lee Everett would know that because she was married to Kenny Everett, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And Lee Everett, actually, I worked with, well, not directly with, but I've been round her house and things. She was the wife of Kenny Everett. She was a medium, and she was a really good medium too, transfiguration medium. I don't know if she still works. I don't know if she's still alive. I presume she's still alive. I imagine. I don't know. But she was a very, very good trance medium. And she used to get ectoplasm come over her face, and faces appearing on her face.
I bet, you know,
she worked with me with a guy called Bill Landis, who was one of my early teachers.
I think with Freddie Mercury, they would meet people they knew on there, but people don't understand. They seem to think they're waiting in the Hall of Fame, but it doesn't work like that, does it? Because your spirit leaves your body.
That was in calling earlier.
Eh?
Yeah,
And
that's the phone. He just texted as well, actually.
Yeah. Who is that one? It's Elvis now. But no, they would, you know, because he would have to have had an awful lot of healing because his body and that was quite weakened. Everything in the end and everything, and sometimes it might take a person at least 4 or 5 years before they communicate. Doesn't always happen straight away. So it would be the person that's most close to them, which would have been Mary, his mother, or his father. But I believe his father and his mother are now gone into the spirit realm. So he would probably communicate to his sister, or like I say, to Mary Austin.
And I don't think fame in the afterlife necessarily counts for anything.
No,
because when we go to the spirit world, we are who we are. You can see who a person is, good and bad. You can see all the evil in a person, all the good in a person, all the hidden in a person, because it's a world of mind. So it doesn't have the restraint of the material world.
Even kings and queens and princes doesn't mean anything in the spirit realm. They're all as one.
Yeah. We're getting some crafty comments.
Who's Maria? Who's Maria?
God, I'm coughing it up, indigestion.
Who's Maria? Someone said. What did that one say?
I didn't catch it. I called it at the corner of my eye.
Maria, possibly to a sister. What does that mean? What does it mean?
I'm not sure.
Not an ex-girlfriend of yours.
No, the screen would be clogged. 66 years of it.
It was an answer to another comment.
Oh, was it? Okie dokie. I heard a spirit voice say then, did you?
I heard your coughing voice.
So, you know, well, I'm kind of, I think I've said all I can say about
it was real, and I'm telling you, it was real.
So let's open it up to some other questions now, as well as you like, guys, because we can talk about any topics on these Friday. So we usually start off with a theme like this, you know, so you get something to get our ideas going. And then if you've got things you want to ask us about, we tend not to make predictions.
Oh, that's nice.
Because I'd rather keep those to be. Yeah, well, thank you. You're welcome to come on as a guest if you like. I'd love to talk about that sort of topics, you know, because we're going to have people on with videos as well you can interact with video. So, you know, that's a possibility too.
Some weeks we invite some stars to talk.
Yeah, well, you know, because I like the idea of part of what we do with our idea of spirituality has to transcend religion, doesn't it? And spirituality and the understanding that all religions basically have truth in them, don't they? They all have truth, but in different cultures, different forms,
Well, all
different ways,
religions should
and they
be as
ultimately say
one.
the same
Should
thing.
all be one.
Yeah, and I
And
think that's the way the world's
I
going.
think the highest thing to have is love, and your health, of course, is your wealth.
Yeah. Is Freddie born again and living among us? Couldn't answer that, really, to be honest. Couldn't answer that. See, we wouldn't know that if he had been born, because he wouldn't be here to tell us. So,
It's not to say that a person cannot reincarnate. It depends on the karma, and that's. I don't think he was a bad person.
I don't think he would necessarily reincarnate again as a musician,
No.
because I expect if you've developed that skill and used that skill, you have other aspects of your personality that you would need to develop next time round.
He could even be guiding someone from beyond with their music, couldn't he?
Maybe.
It could be like a spirit guide and see somebody quite young and wants to work through them.
Yeah, but
That's
I think
possible.
Those talents we have that we bring to the earth with us, ultimately the only talent that the only thing we really want to develop on earth is our spiritual
That's
awakening.
nice, Jen.
So
right. Hi, Jane. Freddie obviously chose you and said he had to wait contract. Did he say? Well, all I know is because the spirit world know that Craig and I are true, and that they can trust us, and we've got integrity. And I wasn't looking for any communication with Freddie Mercury. It just happened. It's like when Craig had Doris Stokes that come through once to, what's his name, James? Derek Jameson.
Derek Jameson's wife.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name now. Yeah, but we get those. Yeah, but the thing is, you can only give what we've got, and we've got what we've got. We haven't got. We can't say, oh, I'm in touch with Freddie Mercury. I'm going to say this and say this, because you look at the mediums that are out there and the psychics at the moment, and I get really cross with the way it goes.
Tarot cards. They read tarot cards.
Yeah, you've got people out, immediate psychics going, I got this tarot card, and now we got that tarot card, and this means you're going to have a lovely, happy relationship, and this means, and I think, oh,
but that's interpretations.
And there's no psychic involved. And then you get mediums saying, I'm in touch with John Lennon, and John Lennon's saying this, and John Lennon's saying that. I think, no, you're not. No, you're not, because you've got no connection or no proof and no way of proving it. So all we're doing here is saying, look, Jane's had a connection, and they're going to say what we got. If we can prove it, then we know it's true. If we can't, well, then maybe it will come through at some point. It usually does. But we only ever give what we know to be true. What does life mean to you?
Life means to me kindness, compassion, love, and sharing.
That's living.
And
that's
sharing.
What living is.
Life is precious. Every day is a blessing when you wake up. It's like you're going to sleep and you don't know you've been asleep till you wake up in the morning, do you?
Yeah, but what is life? That's what I think that person means, because, okay, one moment a thing is alive, and when you see somebody that's a corpse, suddenly when there's no life in it, when there's no life in that force, all it is chemistry, which actually breaks down and starts to deteriorate within moments of a person dying, doesn't it? The body rots within no time.
Yeah, but your soul's gone on.
And yet it's been sustained all that time. So what is the life? What is the life?
Life is a miracle, isn't it? Your body's a miracle. Your brain's a computer. Your blood cells, they work hard. And all your body, everything, your heart works hard, doesn't it, to pump all the oxygen around?
Well, I think the body is an absolute miracle device. I mean, when you look, I look at your body.
I'm one miracle.
Particularly my body. Yeah, I look at my body. It's a wonderful.
It's a miracle. Hallelujah.
But it is, though. I mean, we do look at ourselves. We think, what an incredible thing we're living inside here.
Well, it's like when a baby's born and you look at their little fingers. It's a miracle, isn't it?
When I die, this will just become a piece of rot that you'll chuck into the grave, or you'll chuck onto the fires, or whatever.
Think they chuck it.
Well, perhaps with me you will, with all my enemies. So the life force, what is the life force? Well, just to answer that question, I think the life force is two things.
Well, actually, sorry, Craig, you're asking, hello, Jane and Craig, will you do an interview with Linda Dearsley? It would be really interesting. We will do. In fact, Linda Dearsley is going to represent us. We've got a show in November, I think it's 24th or 25th at the Concord, and she'll be selling her books there. So she will introduce us and explain what the spirit world is.
Yeah, and we'll sort that out then, because I think she's keeping social distance at the moment because she's got people around her that have health issues. But we will do that. But going back to the life question, because I like that question, it's two things. It's the force of
Don't
life.
go on and on
It's
about
the
that
energy,
question. Give
what
other
we call the
people-
prana, which is the life force, which comes through our breath, and we can also draw from the universe, as it were. That's the healing force, and that's the spirit. And then it's also the consciousness too. That was what life is. It's consciousness, and that consciousness is embedded in everything throughout the whole
and
universe.
also, I believe Freddie Mercury used to do press ups as well. That came to mind because he used to like.
He must have done, because he was
ballet.
quite strong.
I wonder what he was going to say.
No,
But he used to do press ups because on stage he used to do press ups, and that he was quite healthy, wasn't he? And it's such a shame his life at 45 years old he died.
You'll see, 45.
45. I say if he lived today, he'd have been 74.
Would he? Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, you think of the Rolling Stones, how old they're all in the 70s.
They're 150, aren't they?
We don't matter what they are, but they're still going, aren't they?
Can you explain why stating a time period for mediums and psychics is difficult?
Go on, then you.
No, you can answer that one.
No,
let me do all the intellectual ones and shut me
Oh,
up.
what do you mean by that?
It is difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's difficult for a lot of reasons, I think, because I think the basic reason it's difficult is because we have free will. Now, I believe that certain things are going to happen to you in life. We have different types of karma. Like I talked about the different types of life force, the different types of karma. We have karma that we're creating all the time that's going to create the future. But we also have karma that's come into this life that has not been released yet and will be released at some point, but also a form of karma that's been released and has to almost express itself through our life. And there's nothing we can do about that karma because it's got to happen. Right? It's like a bowman that's firing an arrow, and when they fire the arrow, there's the karma in the quiver, and the karma that's in the bow, and the karma that's been let loose. And so certain things are going to happen in our life, and that is going to happen not necessarily at a set time, because that will be determined by our free will. So we do have the free will possibly to deflect the arrow, as it were. So what I'm saying is, things are going to happen, but because of our free will, they may happen not at all or at a slightly different time. So what the psychic, I think, is seeing that arrow that's been fired in a way, and seeing that this is the karma that's in the person's life, that you're going to meet this person, or this is going to happen to you, or that's going to happen to you. But knowing when it's going to happen is determined by the actions of the person. And fortunately, because we have that free will, we do have the means to negate negative karma and increase positive karma. I think
what they really mean, Craig, is like somebody passed over in the spirit world, like a time lapse, and that it depends on the energy and the connection with that soul that's
No, this is about
behind.
Someone's asking there, I think, when you say something's going to happen, this is going to happen, and it might not happen. Like Doris Stokes said to me, you're going to meet your future wife on the 6th of March, didn't she? And it took 9 years, but we met on the 6th of March, didn't we? And that was 9 years later. But it did happen exactly as she said on the 6th of March. So that's the peculiarity of it, Why did it happen? She kind of got the 6th of March right, but didn't get the date at all, So I don't know. Perhaps it's like I say. I think it's to do a combination of this idea of karma and this idea of free will.
Is there any other
That's
questions?
how it would take a whole video to talk about that, and I have
think
made
nearly
videos
done
about.
A whole video.
No, but those sort of questions need a proper answer. You can't just give.
Is there any more questions?
There's a lot more to those sort of issues here.
Do you think that time slips happen? Sometimes they happen, don't they? Time slips through.
Explain it then?
Time here goes very quickly, right? Time on the other side is very slowly, and that it's like 1 minute you're 18, and the next minute you're retiring. So age.
That's time in the spirit world. Time in the spirit world happens a bit like the quantum world, where it all kind of happens all at once. Physics. But one of the thoughts about time slips is that You see, that's the whole question of time, and that's another one that take a long time to explain, because we live in a world where time goes
Quickly.
from past through the present
Quickly.
into the future.
Yeah.
It's directional time, isn't it? Now, can we conceive of any other form of time other than time going from past through present into the future? Now, there could be different types of time, because there could, for example, be time coming from the future through the present and into the past. That could be another form of time. It's time reversed of what we know it. Or there could also be a form of time that happens all at once. It doesn't move from one place to another. It just happens all at once. Now, these things are impossible for us to conceive because we live in linear time. So maybe all sorts of things are possible within the universe regarding time. And this is where perhaps time slips happen, where our consciousness, our awareness, can interpenetrate all types of time. So our mind, our consciousness, can penetrate the past, it can connect to the future, it can connect to the present, and perhaps it can even connect into those realms that are outside of past, present, and future, if you see what I mean. So time slips, some people sometimes may have just come out of the matrix a bit, in a way, slipped out of the normal conception of time and get a glimpse of the past, or maybe a glimpse of the future. And that's perhaps not the time. Time itself doesn't slip, perhaps it's the person's consciousness. There we are. Nice, simple, easy question to answer. What's Parallel Lives all about? I don't know. There was a whole thing about parallel lives, wasn't there? Books of reincarnation or something?
Well, yes.
Don't know really. Oh yeah, there was a theory or something, wasn't it? I haven't read the books about parallel lives. That we have multiple lives. I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest, Nana. I know there was some sort of ideas of. I mean, this is going into all sorts of ideas. There's some people believe, like Nietzsche believes, that we eternal recurrence, that we constantly relive the same life over and over again, refining it slightly different every time until we live a fully conscious, awakened life. So you just, when you die, you start all over again, and it just goes through the same sequence but changes slightly. That's surely kind of where I think the idea of parallel lives originates, that we might live multiple lives in multiple universes all at the same time. But this is all kind of, just to me, mental games.
That sounds like multiple personalities, doesn't it?
Well, no, there are interesting concepts in philosophy and metaphysics, but the only thing we can trust is what our own experience tells us. You can intellectualize these till the cows come home, but ultimately we need to directly experience anything about the nature of existence, and each one of us is capable of doing it, but nobody else can do it for us.
David, do you believe in Mark Taylor's predictions for Trump? I don't even know who Mark Taylor is. Do you?
I know who Trump is.
I know Trump, but I've never heard of Mark Taylor.
I think Mark Taylor is that guy that's the political guy, isn't it? Who was has predicted every president since the year dot or something. He's been doing it all his life and gets it right every time. I'm not sure.
Is he a journalist?
Yeah, that's journalist type.
I
think so. I don't know. I'm not sure, so I can't answer that because my knowledge isn't clear on that, to be honest. I don't have enough. 2021 predictions anytime soon. Yeah, I usually make them in October, don't I, for 2021? Yeah. It might be, I ought to do them soon, actually, I suppose. Yeah. The thing is, I've been doing monthly predictions, really. I've been doing one once a month. And my focus has all been on much more of the immediate future than the further ahead. But it might be an idea.
Really on Trump, haven't you? You predicted
Trump
would get in.
Yeah, the virus and Trump has been such a major thing, and Brexit this year. These have all been the main things. But it would be good. It's about time I should do them around this time of year, because it's all easy for people to make predictions just on January.
I don't think Trump and that his wife will last.
What do you mean?
Well, their marriage, I don't think it will last.
Oh,
I don't feel there's a closeness.
Yeah, you've been saying you felt
I don't feel there's such a closeness. I think she stays with him. They've got a son, Baron, but I can't see that lasting. I mean, he's 74 now, isn't he, Trump?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's
and,
right.
I mean, he is passionate what he does, and he's a very good businessman. What he does, he has sorted out things.
Yeah. I think when you're doing any form of prediction, you've got to be completely clear. Whatever you might think about a person, good or bad, you just got to give what you get. Jeremy Corbyn's going to be elected prime minister. I didn't like the man, but if that was the case and I was given that, I would have to say
he's
what
more
you
like
see.
a train spotter.
You would have to give what
he?
you say, wouldn't you? Okay, Nana's saying it's my deceased mum's birthday today. Would they celebrate birthdays or death days more?
Well, I feel that they would celebrate birthdays in the spirit realm.
On the day they went over. Some spiritualists have said that they do. I don't think time is quite the same over there.
I don't think it's cakes and candles.
No, I think I think it's very hard, I think, for us to comprehend the nature of time.
Nana, did your mother wear glasses, dark framed glasses? Interesting to know, because I saw a lady's face
You got
come
a flash
up there.
of it, did you?
Yeah.
And so they do often give their birthdays when they come through as evidence and proof. Sometimes, so like sometimes they give their name. When we give evidence of survival to somebody, we'll often give how they passed. We might describe their personality. We might describe some of the events that happened in their lives. We might get their name straight away. We might not. Sometimes it's coming through a different way. Sometimes you get the surname, but very often they do sometimes give the date of their birthday or anniversary of their death or the day they got married. Don't
Some
they?
people are too slow to respond because they're listening so intensely, and it's not till after you finish that session and say, "Oh yes, you were right,"
Yeah, you don't. It's amazing. I always find the information that you give in a reading that people can't take at the time and then go home and check with their mum or something and they find it to be correct.
Sweet, isn't it?
Proves it's not telepathy.
And hoping when I pass, I will meet my husband of 50 years and be happy forever. Here, I hope. I'm sure you will meet your soulmate. I'm sure he will come for you. That's quite beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, well, of course they do. Because when I think one of the things that mediumship proves is that love never dies.
Yeah. That's
really
true.
Doesn't it? And families are forever, perhaps. I mean, I know we talk about the idea of this awakening and enlightenment and consciousness, but for most people, the most important part of their soul journey is the connection with other people.
Yeah, I will do some predictions, Angela, and I will work on that next week and write them down.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah, but we'd have to do that as a set session rather than a live session.
Yeah,
I think for things like that, because we don't want to say things that could get us into problems legally. Can I get my money back for this incarnation?
Definitely not. Definitely not. You're in debt for the next 3 incarnations.
Good one.
It'd be payback time.
It's your heavenly bank account. I mean, I suppose that's what it is, isn't it? Karma's like a currency almost that decides how long we stay here or not. Is it true when we reincarnate to the same family?
It depends on karma again, doesn't it?
I think we probably do. I think we incarnate both within the same family and the same enemies as well, because anything that's been unresolved in this life that still needs work will probably be back into our karmic
energy
pot, as it were, in the mix that we've got to deal with in this life. You probably marry your enemy, for example, so that you could maybe those people do, because we get divorces and things, don't we? But where you've got stuff that needs to be sorted out, and so we come back, and I think we all interact and we all come back together again in different forms and different ways, until ultimately I suppose that we all come back as spiritually awake beings, perhaps not always on earth. God, I hope we don't reincarnate in the same family.
It depends.
See,
it depends.
It depends. You see, I think it all depends. Why do we have all these interconnections with people? Certain people are important. I mean, family we're stuck with throughout life, But sometimes certain friends and the people we marry come through our choice, and but then there's sometimes those people that come into your life. There's a powerful connection. Right from the moment you meet, sometimes a lot of friendships start instantly, and you realise that there's been some
when
connection.
You met me, didn't you?
Well, wasn't there? Really,
straight away.
You do know. And you know, also with people that you might have had other issues with,
Like
in the
Domenico
past.
over there, he met our daughter, and he really fell for her so quickly. Didn't
Yeah, he
he?
fell into that web. Yeah.
She didn't come with a warning.
or an instruction manual.
You wouldn't have any other way.
Jane, Nana replied on your question about the glasses.
Yes. What'd she say?
She's having trouble with her eyes.
Okay.
She's having trouble with her eyes.
No, her mother didn't have glasses, but
saying
she has troubles with
she's
her.
having trouble. But I saw, and did your mother have brown hair, my dear? But I saw these glasses.
See, the only way we could do readings, Jane, is if we have a video link. If
Yeah.
Nana's on
For
video,
Zoom,
you could put
Zoom.
Nana
We
in
can
on
do
that, and
Zoom.
we could do it that way. But you'd never be able to do it with just questions.
Yeah, well,
and
I
answers
just
like that.
asked if
Yeah.
her mother had brown hair. It looked like her mother come up with a spirit hairdressers.
But we,
Awesome.
maybe set some up like you do with Zoom. We can do it with this system we got here, and then one could do maybe one special thing just for
Yeah.
readings.
Yeah.
But not hanging up tarot cards. And
No, I don't want to do tarot cards.
like they do. It needs to be. That's why I prefer once we get the studio together, we can do it
Yeah.
all properly live in the studio,
Yeah.
and people can interact both by screen and those.
Yeah, I
set
think
with
that'd be a
us.
good idea.
That's the plan.
Last question of the
So-
day.
So some of the last questions, folks. Oh God, time is running out. It's
Yeah.
5 to 8 already.
Yes.
We've got 5 more minutes left. And so if you've got any more last questions, you can ask us. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed this, do please share it, like it, or whatever you do on Facebook. And if you're come to the YouTube channel, follow us, because then you can pick up these transmissions every week. We come out every Friday with this type of one. Then of course there's the really good videos that I do that usually come out on a Monday, sometimes on a Thursday. So subscribe to the channel, right? And that'll get you. And if you really, really like us and you want to help us with our work and what we're trying to do and our spiritual work, go and look at the Patreon pages, right? It's in the link in the description below in the YouTubes, and you can find out what it means to be a patron. I mean, and thank you to all the patrons that have been helping us out there in so many ways. People have been helping us financially with what we're planning to do. We've just recently, this week, we just given another cow in India to
2
somebody.
cows.
A cow and a calf and 3 months fodder. That's what they
Yes.
had.
Mm.
So someone in India who's in desperate need.
That's 4 cows.
So we've been doing that typing. That's just happened this week. We might be able to put some footage up. Depends who the person described if they're okay with that. And so there's lots of good work going on. We're getting very close now, thanks to one of our big subscribers, one of our big helpers, to get in the studio together. Next step will be the center. So there's lots going on in the background, because this isn't just an entertainment channel. We want to make this into something that not just inspires you, but actually
Spiritual.
gets you doing good things in work, developing your own spiritual life, helping to help other people who are in desperate need, and also hopefully ultimately to get some center together so we can raise it up a notch with the vibrations of things. So
You
there
can
you
meet
go.
us.
Yeah. And you can come and see us in the real world too, and we can film all this with you guys, or many of you,
Because the world is changing so much, and that if we all can do some good in the world, then it's all worthwhile.
I think the only way we're going to solve the problems of this world is through awakening, through
Yes,
spirituality, through people like you guys, because that's the only way we're going to do it. We're never going to solve it through politics. We're never going to solve it through wars. We're never going to solve it through finance. No
Oh, isn't that
utopias that we can ever create.
Look,
It has to come from
Somebody
the soul.
loves my voice.
Yeah, so soothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I have to listen to her for hours.
And I get a soothing voice from Craig. When's dinner ready? We gonna eat?
It's ready, Craig.
Oh,
just
hi,
made it in
Teresa.
time to say hi. You see, you come in late. You should get up at 2:30 in the morning, like some of our Australian friends here who've been coming in the middle of the night.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another.
What are
subject.
shape-shifting spirits entities? That could make quite an interesting possible. I don't. That is so loaded with many misconceptions, Jason, that I think we'd need hours to talk about that one.
It does.
I think, yeah, it would take too much to answer that in one shot. But if you've got questions, any of you, put them in the comments below, because we do read every single comment, and we'll pick up your questions and make other videos about them.
I'm personally not going back to India yet, because our guru Sharavana Baba is actually here. He can't get back to India at the moment, can he?
And you can't actually get face to face to talk to him.
No.
And I like to go to India anyway. One of my nadis has told me I've got to go to the 5 temples of Shiva, 5 different temples of Shiva around India.
And 5 saris.
Yes, 5 saris en
to
route.
bring back.
So,
they tell you that in the temple.
But actually, in India at the moment, it is terrible out there. One of the people we were trying to help by giving another lady we wanted to give a cow to, she died, unfortunately, before we could help her.
Who was that?
One of the first lady we were going to give the cows to.
She died.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Hello, Boo. You're going to come up here. Say hello to everybody.
Is that a parrot in there?
He's not going to come up. Dreamies. We need those dreamies.
No. He's had enough.
So I think there he is. Now here's the guru of gurus. Come to say hello.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, thanks. I really do feel we get a kind of an energy from everybody,
Yeah,
you know. I can almost feel you connecting with us when we connect, because you know, it's like when spiritually everybody kind of becomes like friends.
Yeah,
you know?
it's lovely to
I find it in circles, but I'm sure it happens too.
It's nice to communicate to people from all over the world, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not just talking about people whose, you know, comments come up and things. All of you, you know, because this is the only way we're going to solve things in the world, I think, is by more and more people taking their spirituality up a notch. Talking about it is one part of it. Practice is more important. You know, meditation, yoga, possibly, although that's misconceptions, but lots of yoga, pranayama, good deeds to other people, and being awake in your normal daily life, you know. I mean, that's the way we're going to change this world.
Anne.
Not through politics, not through Brexit and all the rest of it.
Yeah, thanks, say goodbye to people now.
Well, it's nice to see you all, guys. Yeah. I've gabbled it a bit, Lita, but thanks. Yeah. It's quite a big topic, isn't it? The whole idea of time. Fascinating to think about, I think. Yeah. And we're running out of time, indeed, because we're going to have to say goodbye to you guys now soon, very soon. So it's finally got us live. Keep missing the time, and you're just coming in just as we're about to say bye-bye to everybody. So we'll see you soon then. Yeah?
Bye.
Okay, then. Bye for now, then.